The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by Beeline. Visit findyoursippingpoint.com, by Michter's American Whiskeys, and by 291 Colorado Whiskey.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fred Minnick Show. That's the Fred Minnick Show. Yes, and I'm Fred. The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by the Beeline, a Northern Kentucky bourbon experience, a mashup of 5 Kentucky Bourbon Trail Craft Distilleries, 6 unique bourbon bars, and 5 bourbon-focused restaurants. Across from Cincinnati and the edge of bourbon country. Learn more at findyoursippingpoint.com. That's findyoursippingpoint.com. We are going to get out of this. We're going to get through this isolation period. We're going to get over the coronavirus. And when we do, we're going to need to meet in Northern Kentucky for a nice sip of whiskey. And I can't think of many better places to do it in the Northern Kentucky area than at my good friend Molly Wellman's place, Japs. Now, it's officially in Cincinnati, but you will not find a bigger advocate for that area than my dear friend Molly Wellman, who also writes for me at Bourbon Plus. So make sure you're checking that stuff out, folks. Go to findyoursippingpoint.com, and when we get out of this, we're going to go have a drink together. Now, if you've been following me every night on my live tastings on YouTube, you've probably been hearing me call people out and say, hey, hit me up with your address and I'll send you a sticker. I've got these really cool Fred Minnick Show stickers that if you would like to have one, I'm just kind of giving them away right now. Go to my website, fredminnick.com, and hit the contact button and send me your address, and I'll mail you a sticker. I appreciate you listening to the show and subscribing. While you're writing me, let me know who your favorite guest has been, what you'd like to see. I mean, guys, I'm just having fun with this. I love this podcast. I love talking music, and I sure in the hell love talking whiskey. Now, last week's show, we had Clown from Slipknot, and I don't think I ever anticipated having a show be that popular. It was, the last I checked on, it had over 300,000 views or downloads, and it just was, it went through, it was crazy. It got in a lot of the Slipknot groups, and people were commenting about how it was the best interview they'd ever seen with Clown, and so I'm just stoked about that. But as my producer Pamela Furr has said, don't focus too much on the previous episode. Isn't that right, Pamela?
That's right. Keep it moving, Fred. Keep it moving forward.
Of course, Pamela is a veteran radio person, producer, personality, and you know she's now coming over onto the dark side, or I guess it's maybe we're the Rebel Alliance in the podcast world. I don't really know, but anyway, she's been a great asset for me, helping me figure all this stuff out. And this week's episode is with Amigo The Devil. Now, before we go any further, I want you to stop and open up your Spotify or your iHeart and just listen to 1 or 2 songs from Amigo The Devil, because your mind will be blown. Your mind will absolutely be blown. And I can't wait for you to hear that interview. And now I also got to get you a very, very important trivia question. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Imagine this, an experience centered around 5 Kentucky Bourbon Trail craft tour distilleries in northern Kentucky, the gateway to Kentucky bourbon. Add 5 amazing bourbon-centric bars and 5 delicious bourbon-focused restaurants, cultivating the freshest takes and culinary delights, and you are on the Beeline. Start your trip today at findyoursippingpoint.com.
At Michter's Distillery, our passion is making the finest bourbon, rye, and American whiskey possible. When you only produce very small batch and single barrel whiskey as we do, each and every barrel has to be perfect. No detail is too small for our production team. From careful attention to the 18-month or more air-dried wood used in the construction of our barrels, to entering our distillate into the barrel at the costlier lower barrel entry proof of 103 so that it's smoother, to heat cycling our barrel houses, to our signature filtration protocol, we spare no expense in pursuing our goal of making the greatest American whiskey. And no Michter's gets bottled until our master distiller Dan McKee and our master of maturation Andrea Wilson say it's just right. Michter's Fort Nelson Distillery in downtown Louisville, Kentucky is open for tours and tastings. Book your visit on our website and stop by the bar at Fort Nelson for a world-class cocktail. For more information, follow us on social media at Michter's Whiskey, go to michters.com, or visit your favorite bartender. Michter's Distillery. It's all about the whiskey.
291 Colorado Whiskey aims to create a one-of-a-kind, bold, and beautiful Colorado whiskey. Rugged, refined, rebellious. Distillery 291 is an award-winning small batch whiskey distillery located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, nestled in the shadow of Pikes Peak. Owner and founding distiller Michael Myers grew up on family farms in Georgia and Tennessee, across a countryside defined by rolling hills, horses, and whiskey. He set out to create a flagship whiskey that evoked the Wild West, a cowboy walking into a bar saying, "Give me a whiskey," and the bartender slamming down a bottle of 291 Colorado whiskey. Find a bottle near you at 291coloradowhiskey.com. Write it like you stole it, drink it like you own it, live fast, drink responsibly.
Thanks again to the sponsors. You know, we couldn't do this show without them, and the support means the world to me, so make sure you all are checking them out. Now, the trivia question today is, what Texas distillery was the first to file their paperwork? Now, that is kind of a trick question, and everyone's going to be going to Tito's or Deep Eddies or Garrison Brothers or Balcones. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's none of those. This is actually kind of a mind-blowing little piece of whiskey history that I don't think I've ever really talked about. So enjoy the interview, and the trivia question is coming up after the interview with Amigo the Devil. So one thing that I have to let everyone know is that you're from Austin, Texas.
Yes, we live outside of Austin.
And you just got your own Austin day, like your own day in Austin. What does that mean?
I'm not sure yet. I know that I was surprised when it went through. I'm unbelievably grateful that our hometown is pretty much giving us love, and it's kind of crazy for me. It's surreal.
So, do you get to like be mayor for the day, make everyone wear shirts and play music?
I'm gonna act like the mayor for the day.
That's right. I love it.
It's I think it's mostly just an opportunity to kind of present some fun party activities.
Nice.
And I know we have a show on that day this year, but I don't think we have enough time to put together what I would want to.
What would you want to do? What's a perfect day?
Big old water park festival.
A water park festival. Nice.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
And barbecue too.
Barbecue too.
Barbecue, whiskey, the whole nine.
The whole shebang.
So, one of the being from Austin, I went to Oklahoma State, so we have that rivalry there. You know that Texas. Are you a big Longhorn fan?
I'm not very sportsy at all.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I like sportsmanship.
Yeah.
When I'm around people that do watch games and all that, I'm happy when they.
Well, I find that a lot of really good musicians aren't into sports. It's kind of like it's either one or the other, I guess.
Well, for me, I never got into it when I was young because I love playing sports. I played a lot of sports when I was young. I just never got into the aspect of the actual events because it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
And I know that I get obsessed with things very easily.
Yeah.
I'm a problematic person with, diving in.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that if I do begin, I'm done. I'm toast.
Yeah.
So I avoid it.
So we're going to get you into whiskey right now.
I love it.
You down for this?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you a series of questions that will help me kind of pinpoint exactly what would be the perfect taste for your palate.
Cool.
And this will help me a lot. What was your first drink?
MD 2020 Orange Jubilee.
Oh, that's very specific.
Yeah.
Very specific.
I was very young.
What do you drink when you're on the road?
I like mezcal and tequila a lot.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a favorite drink with the tequila, or
Just tequila in general.
drink it straight?
Yeah.
Nice. And has there been a spirit or a drink that you just had like a bad time with and you can't go back to it?
Vodka.
Oh God, yes. We hate vodka on this show.
Yeah, I do too.
That's great. So I have a hashtag. Vodka sucks. It's real. The hate is real. So what happened to you with vodka? Just a bad time?
It was during a hurricane. Not Rita. I don't remember which one. I was living in Miami, and we had a really bad hurricane that knocked out our power for probably 3 weeks. And I was living with my buddy in his bedroom. I was probably like 15.
Okay.
15 or something like that. And his dad had a bunch of vodka. There's cases of vodka. And I decided, well, I don't like the taste of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dump a ton of Kool-Aid into the vodka, and just then it's going to be Kool-Aid. And I'm gagging thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
So we drank like 3 or 4 bottles of that Kool-Aid vodka. I didn't factor in any dilution or water into that. And I have never in my life thought I was going to die any more than that moment.
That'd be what we'd call not drinking responsibly.
100%.
Yeah.
Just the absolute worst decision. Just being an idiot teen in the middle of a hurricane shutdown.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in some ways you could say you were coping with the circumstances. Yeah. But
I'm also pretty dumb, so
well, that's not what I heard. I heard you're quite smart. So let's keep narrowing down what you like. What's your favorite food?
Uni.
Really?
Yeah. If there was one food I could just eat my whole life, uni.
Okay.
I'd die from it, but
I mean,
it'd be worth it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
What's like you have like a bedtime snack? Are you going for like a graham cracker?
Milk and cookies. Oreos.
Milk and cookies.
Oreos.
Okay.
Cookie soup.
What's your favorite pie?
Apple crumble.
Apple
cobbler.
crumble.
Nah, we're not going with doughy pie.
Okay.
I want cobbler.
Okay. You want some cobbler. All right, man. You got a wide spectrum of a palate. And I think I have the tools to fit you.
I believe you do.
Let me. I need to go specific on a particular type of flavor. Mm-hmm. Nuts. Like, what is like your favorite nut? Do you like walnut?
Yeah.
Do you like them roasted? Do you like them raw? How do you like your nuts? That sounds awful.
Dry, clean. But my instinct was to say candied, but that's cheating because I was just adding sugar. But if you like them roasted,
you like your nuts roasted.
Yeah.
All right.
A little bit of warmth, never.
All right, we're good. Let's grab that bottle, that one right there. This is Bella Meade bourbon. It's distilled in Indiana, aged in Tennessee, finished in a sherry barrel, and it has some nuttiness characteristic as well as a lot of those other flavors you like.
I do have to ask you before we go into this.
Yeah.
So bourbon specifically, so it's not a regional. Is it the corn aspect?
Well,
so
you want to know what makes bourbon
in general? Because I've heard so many things.
Yeah, I mean, generally there's a lot of bullshit thrown around in this world, and I'll tell you that there's a lot of misinformation. It's like anything. But to be bourbon, it has to be made in the United States. So Congress actually passed this in 1964. They had a congressional resolution, so it's in our actual federal code. So anybody that has a free trade agreement with us must adhere to our standards and definitions of bourbon and Tennessee whiskey. From there, it has to be made from at least 51% corn. So right off the bat, it's always going to be predominantly corn. They can add other grains such as rye, wheat. You even find some adding things like rice and triticale, barley, but it always has to be predominantly corn.
More corn.
And then from there, it's on the distillation side. It can't come off the still at any higher than 160 proof. Now this is very, very important because ethanol and vodka are coming off the still at 190, and the higher you go up on the distillation proof, the more you're stripping out from the actual flavor of the grain. And so that is one of the big reasons why bourbon has flavor, is because it kind of, most of these distillers are really, they're distilling to about 125 to 140. So no one's actually not many people are hitting that 160. So they're keeping in a lot of that grain characteristic in that initial run. From there, and this is what makes bourbon stand out from other types of whiskey. So bourbon is a type of whiskey. Scotch is a whiskey. There's all these different types of whiskeys, and what really sets them apart is their grain. So Scotch is predominantly barley, and the Canadians are blends, and the Irish, they have blends as well, but they also use a lot of barley. The Irish are a little kind of a hodgepodge of everything. And the Americans, we put everything into new charred oak barrels. The other whiskey categories are going into used barrels, and most commonly former bourbon barrels. So this new charred oak barrel is what gives it all the color, majority of the flavor, and aroma. And so now, with that kind of being said, we take a look at the bourbon, and when it goes into the barrel, it clears the water from your tap. So that color is coming all from the barrel. Yeah, from that barrel. It's going in and out of the wood every single day, and so those wood sugars are really penetrating into the liquid.
So the vanillins in the wood and all that do infiltrate.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like barbecuing, right? You know, you got that wood has an influence on the meat. It's the wood it's 75% of the flavor of the whiskey. Yeah. And so from there, we want to smell, and when you smell, you want to smell with your mouth open. And you'll notice that you pick up more than just like the alcohol fumes when you do it with your mouth open. Right off the bat, with this Meade sherry cask finish, I'm getting a lot of like cotton candy.
I was about to say, I swear to God.
Yeah.
That's the first, just that sweetness, that cotton candy sweetness.
Yeah, it's got like a cotton, like you're walking into a festival, fairgrounds or something, and there's that cotton candy guy.
Crazy.
Cotton candy, get your cotton candy here.
I always feel really bad saying what I smell because I feel like I'm going to sound dumb.
No.
So it's just that guilt where...
No, that's the thing about this, is everyone has their own sense of smell and taste, and there's no wrong answer in any of this, you know?
Yeah.
No, none at all. So, cheers. Now let's taste, and when we taste, we just want to get a little bit on the palate and feel it all the way around the tongue.
Super nice.
You digging it?
Yeah, that is a little sweet finish though.
Yeah. So your palate, all the things that you said you like and you dig, I had to narrow down on something because I think you like a lot of things, like food-wise.
Have you seen my body?
Yeah. Me too. You have a nice body.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think you do as well.
Oh, thank you. Do you? Is there a food you don't like?
Olives.
You don't like olives?
I hate olives.
Is it a texture thing?
It is the idea of what olives tasted like to me when I was young. The meatiness of them. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a fleshy thing.
But that's the thing, is that I love... It's not the texture, because I love the texture. Because it's food, and I know it's food, so I like it.
Yeah.
But something about... It's all mental. I know it's all mental. Because I love things that are as briny as olives.
Mm-hmm.
I just cannot stand olives. Like if I could make something illegal, it'd be olives.
Holy shit!
I hate olives.
You really hate olives.
I like olive oil. I like olive stuff.
Yeah.
But if you hand me an olive, I'm launching it across the field.
So let's take a look at this. You hate vodka. You hate olives. The martini's way out of the question for you.
I don't consider they exist.
Yeah.
It's not a thing I do. It's not. Damn, this sits with you quite a bit. So the oils on...
So those oils will kind of like, you'll see the residual, they're right there as the legs, just kind of dripping down.
In a bourbon, would you ever do like a drop or two of water in there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that. So as a critic, I like to assess it for what's inside the bottle. I don't really like doing the adding ice or water to it and assessing it that way. But yeah, I mean, if you need to cut it with a little water, that's easy.
See this, and now that I've tasted it, it opened up so much more on the nose.
And also, your body's getting familiar to it.
Yeah.
So you walk in here, and I don't know what you've eaten or tasted today, but your Cheetos.
That's about it.
And that you just had some Cheetos today, and so this is the first thing since Cheetos. So your palate's not. It's your first taste of alcohol for the day, so your palate's not necessarily ready for that. And then when you have one taste, boom, it's turned on. You're ready to go.
Damn, it's super nice. Indiana, you said?
So yeah, this is distilled at a distillery called MGP Ingredients. It's a former Seagram's plant that basically got bought and sold in a lot of different ways, and they were selling whiskey to bottlers, and a bunch of people bought a bunch of old barrels, and this would be one of them. I think I'm going to pour you something else too. I want to. We're going to. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to move you now to a straight bourbon. So this is a barreled finish. Now we're going to go to Michter's 10-year-old. You find it right there.
I have had this.
You have had it?
Yeah, I have. I enjoy it quite a bit.
You want to try something else then?
No, I mean I'm here. I'm on your journey.
We can taste anything. Let's. So that's actually used to be that Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond used to be a $12 whiskey, and now it's $40. I fucking hate the way that happened.
See, distillation is such a different beast to me. I went to school for brewing.
Oh, nice.
Beer. So I understand that process, and then when I try to swap it over to distillation, gone. Such a unique and different specific beast.
Most definitely, the distillation is difficult. It's chemistry, So this used to be, one of my everyday sipping whiskeys, or like have it at the house, with a cocktail, watch a little TV, go to a football game. It was $12. $12.
Now it's $40.
Now it's $40. So they changed the packaging, so it looks prettier, but the whiskey still pretty much the same.
If you wear a mask, you can get like 12 of them for free.
What's that?
If you wear a mask, you can get like 12 of them for free.
Yeah.
Just get a nice little case of them. You gotta run fast.
I can't run fast. You've seen my body, right?
I'll block the door for you.
We will not be robbing anybody, but let us. But you can, if you own a liquor store and want to assist us, leave your back door open, and a couple cases right there, and we'll just come in and help ourselves.
We'll be wearing the masks.
Yes, we'll wear. Oh yeah. Oh boy. So Clay, I didn't even know I had any of this left.
Birthday bourbon.
So this is birthday bourbon. This is the 2019 release. It's actually right now one of the front runners for my whiskey of the year.
So it is an annual release. Seasonal.
Yeah, it's an annual release. It's limited edition, made by Old Forester. Quite yummy.
And the Heaven Hill has a consider compare the sweetness to this, kind of like musty.
Yeah, it's like a corn. So it's a very corn-forward bourbon. Like if you like corn on the cob.
I think that's what I guess.
Yeah,
getting.
And there is, it's like a dankness.
Super good.
By the way, I'm covered in grass. I'm just looking down, and I'm like covered in grass. What in the hell just happened to me? Did you come in here with a bunch of grass on you? Not that kind of grass.
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude.
Lindsay, did you bring a case of grass in here and just pour it on me?
No, but I brought a Clay Bush, and I think that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, so let's taste this
Yes.
birthday bourbon here. Oh man, that's just money. Dark cherry.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I've tried it.
Wow.
Unless you have lipstick on.
That is something else.
That's art right there. Art in a bottle.
What's it limited to? Usually.
They usually have a pretty decent. There'll be a couple thousand cases out there.
Oh, okay. So is that what you mentioned? Cherry? Is that kind of?
Yeah, cherry is like the main note in this for me.
Because I'm getting cherry for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously a lot easier when you do mention it, and then I can identify because my palate is of an infant.
I disagree with that. I think you got a good palate. You know, especially if you have a brewing background.
With the brewing, I do mostly sours.
Oh,
Like
nice.
Traditional sours, not
Yeah.
kettle sour. Please, if you're brewing, please stop doing kettle sours.
Don't do it.
Don't do no vodka, no kettle sours,
No
no
olives.
olives. Death to
Especially
kettle
don't
sours.
kettle sour with olives in it.
So what is the sour mash thing? I know that's not a bourbon. at all,
Actually,
but-
no. So what sour mash is? Sour
Yeah.
mash is a fermentation technique. All right.
I almost knocked everything over. Yeah.
You good?
So that does refer to the fermentation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So they're just bringing the pH down.
Yeah. So what they do is they take the they distill the mash. So they don't separate the grains and distill just the liquid.
Oh, is,
So
that
what-
is that in general always? Or?
Yeah, in bourbon especially. Other whiskey categories will separate the grains.
That makes so much more sense.
And so what they will do is they will distill it, and the solids and a little bit of liquid will drop down to the bottom of the still. They will collect that and then add it to the new fermentation to balance out the pH and keep out that bacterial infestation. But there is a rise of people doing sweet mashing, which is basically not doing that. But the sour mashing technique, we've been able to date it back to 1818, and it's very commonly used.
Unreal. I mean, it's really, you're not joking. This is unreal.
Well, Amigo, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell us what's new in your music world.
Unfortunately, nothing too exciting. We're basically on tour perpetually. I will die on
That's
tour.
good, though, right?
No,
I mean,
it is. I'm very happy to be on tour forever.
Yeah.
But, we are out through March 29th. And then after that, I'm going to take a little time to write some more music and, see how I feel.
How can people follow you on the socials?
Any of the socials that you want to follow us on, it's just Amigo the Devil, like the Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, Grindr, whatever.
Oh,
It's Amigo the Devil.
you're up on
Just
there on Tinder.
Anything you need.
How does Tinder work for you?
Tinder's hard
Yeah.
because you have to be A, willing to talk to people, and
Yeah.
B, I guess, witty. And that
But
is.
can't you be like, I'm a rock star, meet me backstage?
Oh no, because
Doesn't-
that'd be a lie. That'd be a lie.
That's not a lie.
It would be falsifying information.
No.
So
You wouldn't be in here. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, like, talk about a rock star.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm on tour
Be honest, you can't let that happen.
I'm on tour until March, but I'm
And here I am
I'm not a
finding
rock
him to
star.
get tickets because his dates keep selling out. So
I'm selling out venues, and I'm not
No,
a rock
no,
star.
no.
3 times the size they
Yeah.
were last year.
that's all because of you, though. Thank you.
I've got my own day in Austin, but I'm not a rock star.
November 16th.
Country-
November 16th
November 16th.
is
Yeah, because it was
Amigo the
available.
That's a good day though.
It is.
It's nice and cool in Texas. And
That's one of my
Maybe-
favorite things about the Texas heat is that it's brutal,
yeah,
but it's especially where we live. There's so much water around us. That it's good
one
swimming
of the few
weather.
places. So you can get on Tinder and invite them out to your day in Austin. Amigo the Devil Day.
Yeah, I'm just
and say
cast
just
a web.
and just say, hey, meet me over here. Like you could have your own Tinder convention.
Yeah.
And, greet your Tinder fans.
Yeah, I'm just going to send out, hey, brother, come on out.
Yeah.
Like,
or Grindr, whatever.
Whichever.
Actually, that world is so foreign to me.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know how people have the confidence to do the Tinder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it seems hard. All my friends who do the Tinder thing, they put in so much work.
Yeah.
They're constantly messaging people, and they're constantly just swipe. And I'm like, dude, hang out with me. They're like, I can't do it. I can't stop.
I gotta get my Tinder on. Yeah, whatever happened to just talking to somebody in the bar?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like you.
Yeah, I mean,
but also, if you're busy, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please don't let me ruin your night.
It's a weird world we live in. I've been married for 12 years, and I wouldn't even know how to date.
No,
it's
possible.
It's weird. It's like a whole weird world out there.
Yeah, I mean, Alicia's out there somewhere. She set up my Tinder for me to get me away, just leave me alone. I was like, okay. And then
you legitimately have a Tinder account.
I mean, as a joke.
Okay.
Not a joke.
A joke, not a joke.
I got
that
hacked.
You're not using, but you are using. You got hacked.
No, I don't have one.
All right, be careful with sending those pics.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with that.
Those damn.
Have you sent the bad pic yet?
I mean, blurry ones. It's real blurry. What is that? Is that a stove?
Change of subject. Very, very well played. Well, hey, man, I really enjoy sipping a little whiskey with you. You got a great palate. It's fun to have you on. And, motherfucker, you are a rock star.
Dude, thank you so much for having us on. I appreciate all the whiskey.
There's more to come. How about that episode with Amigo the Devil? If you have not gone and downloaded his stuff yet, you need to. Now, that interview took place before the coronavirus hit, and there were a lot of people in music who were kind of pinning Amigo the Devil as being like the next kind of like breakout this year in like 2020 across like that genre of like acoustic, heavy acoustic and rock. And he just, he's just so amazing live. And so anybody who sees him perform falls in love with him. I mean, he's absolutely fall in love with him. So I really feel for musicians right now, like Amigo the Devil, and especially Amigo the Devil, because they don't get an opportunity to really showcase their talent to the world in a way that they normally would. So make sure you go over onto social media, especially Instagram, and search for Amigo the Devil and start following him. He's an incredible talent, and you do not want to miss him as he breaks out into the next level. But be sure to reach out and tell him you heard him here. You heard the interview with me, and it helped bring you to him. So that's important, because this show is about discovery. It's about discovering new musicians. Okay, so the question was, what Texas distillery filed their paperwork first? Essentially, the question is, who was the first after Prohibition to file to be a distilled spirits plant? That actually happened in 1962 in New Braunfels, which is near San Antonio. This company called basically Texas Distillers Incorporated had a plan to begin making bourbon and vodka and gin, and that they were going to import tequila. And the guy behind it, his name was J. Ross Bowles, and was a pretty well-known guy in that area. And it just fell through. It didn't happen. And that happened. That was a time when things were changing, and people were not really drinking what they used to. And then it happens again in the late 1970s. there was an effort for Texas distillers to start up. And then the Texas Liquor Control Board basically changed the way they taxed booze. Now, the Texas, it's now the Alcohol Control Board, but back then it was called the Texas Liquor Control Board. They are notorious for having all these rules and having all of these reprimands on distillers. And apparently it goes way back to the 1970s. But they changed, implemented a new statute that made it more difficult for distilleries to make gasohol. And basically that just ripped through all the business plans of these distillers in the late 1970s. And they decided to not open. So we would not actually see a true, genuine Texas distillery until like the 2000s. Now, who was first? I think that's up for debate, and really I don't want to approach that one right now. But you wouldn't see them until the 2000s. I mean, that's crazy. It's really, really crazy if you think about it. But Texas had a few people who were trying to make take a chance, but for the business measures and government measures, whatever, it just didn't happen. But yeah, that's the way business is. And right now you have a lot of small distillers who are struggling to survive amidst the coronavirus and the isolation and the shutdown, and they depend on the tasting rooms and they depend on tourism. They're struggling right now. So if you can, go and support those smaller distillers and, make a cocktail at home and take a picture and send it to us on social media. You can find me at Fred Minnick on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and YouTube, where I'm streaming every night with some kind of tasting. I'm doing taste-offs between like vintage spirits and everyday spirits, and I got new content going every day up on YouTube. So make sure you're following me on all those things. And while you're at it, if you wouldn't mind, give us a rating on the podcast. It helps with the algorithms. Give us a review. It helps people find the show. Now, next week on the show, we have an iconic rock and roll Hall of Famer, just an amazing musician and a very cerebral soul in Mick Fleetwood. I cannot wait for you to hear this episode, but you won't get it right away unless you're clicking subscribe, unless this is in your playlist to listen to regularly with however you listen to your podcast, because the way podcasts work is when I upload something, it takes about 6 hours for them to become public. But unless you are already a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, the podcast apps take care of you. So make sure you click and subscribe, and you get to hear an exclusive interview with one of the most iconic musicians of all time. And that'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Be kind to one another. Don't lick trash cans. And remember, vodka sucks unless it's being used for hand sanitizer. Cheers, everybody.
You've been listening to The Fred Minnick Show, brought to you by Beeline. Visit findyoursippingpoint.com, by Michter's American Whiskeys, and by 291 Colorado Whiskey. For more information on Fred's books, articles, and more, just go to fredminnick.com.